We were not chefs. We were, what do you like? How do we make it so you like it?
Without having any knowledge of muffins.
I could eat them.
You're gonna make a muffin shop. Let's start with the grand story of all. Your starting of Main Street Gourmet and the crazy twists and turns that has made it the successful business that it is.
Actually, me and Steve, so my partner, Steve Marks, we knew each other since we were little kids. We lived together in college. We all lived together after college. It was crazy. So the beginning was I was doing a lot of different things, and he bought this building with his uncle at a sheriff's sale in downtown Akron. It was literally a building that was 20 feet wide, 90 feet deep, 4 stories high with a basement. Hadn't been used in 15 years. Roof had been leaking for 8 years.
Why did he buy this building?
Because he thought he was going to be a real estate mogul. And so we were going to renovate it. I always wanted to start a business. My family had a small clothing business, and I just wanted to start one. I thought that'd be great. We've been to California. We saw there was all this big muffin craze. And so we said, oh, well, it'll eventually come to Ohio. If it's in California, eventually it'll get there. And so we said, we're going to put a muffin shop in the down. That's how we started all this thing. So we conned our friends and family and give us some money, and we got some loans and grants, and we renovated the building and put a muffin shop in. I mean, to me, at that point in my life, everything was an adventure. So this was just another adventure.
You're going to take this decrepit building, bought in a sheriff's sale, and you guys are going to, without having any knowledge of muffins,
I could eat them.
you're gonna make a muffin shop. Okay.
So the way that got, so what do you got to do? So it was take 15 blueberry recipes, look at all of them, right? You just take different ones and say, how's that work? And then start playing around. And then one of the things was, so I had all these guys, we were also doing the construction at the same time. So I would bring blueberry muffins to the construction guys, and I'd wait till they'd eat them, and then I'd get their feedback. And then I'd wait till they all liked them, right? I mean, you just keep trying different stuff, and and experiment with all that. And once I had a blueberry, then I'd go to the next one. We were not chefs. I mean, me and Steve were not chefs. We were, how can we, what do you like? How do we make it so you like it, right? And that really ends up carrying forward into everything we do. We were more very customer centric. We opened in June of 1987. And eventually, 6 months into it, one of our parents' friends had a truck stop about 5 miles away. And they had been to the food show, and they had seen muffin batter. So they come to us, and they actually came to us and said, hey, can we get your muffin batter? So we said, okay, we'll try it. I mean, we still always tried everything. So that's how we sort of switched into muffin batter. When we got out of McDonald's, we had 1,500 McDonald's. So all that stuff grew, all started because we were selling muffin batter. I loved making things too. I mean, I loved that we were making things. It was good. So learned the whole manufacturing. And then that grew eventually. Still in muffin batter, we built a building where it was about a 25,000 square foot building. Because we were selling a lot of stuff. Actually, McDonald's was big, and by that time we had just started getting into the bigger place. Most of us was distributors.
And so how large did the business become before you've sold it a few times?
I think we were like $6 million when we sold the first time. We sold to venture capital because we were growing, we were doubling every year. And there's all these issues. So me and Steve bought it back ourselves. Basically risked everything, because when I first started, I had nothing. Then we sold, so now I had something. And now I had to risk everything. We had to put everything on the line. That was actually way more risky than the first time. But eventually we turned it around because we could. Then it was just how we wanted to run it. We did that. We were probably about 12 million then, and then grew it again to over 20-some million. We sold in 2011, and we sold in 2019, which I don't know if they want me to tell, but it was more than double that.
So, a lot.
And
how many employees?
Now it's like more than quadruple that. It's crazy.
You're looking at all this stuff. So you've grown this huge business. You've sold it multiple times. You stitched it together from all these different experiences you'd have. What are you most proud of when you look back over all the things you did to get it to this point?
I wasn't into muffin. I mean, I loved eating, but I was never into cooking. I wasn't a baker or anything like that. But
And what's
I
the
loved
joy of the
growing a
growth?
business. I don't. I growing, seeing something grow. And then on employee wise, with growth, you get to watch people grow. I loved watching people grow.
I know you have focused a lot on thinking about people and how they thrive in work environments and connect. Can you just tell me a little bit about, how that evolved over time, or not even
I
over
just,
time? Like, where did you land in terms of leadership of people in
I
that
think
way?
I looked at myself when you're going to grow a company or as your company grows, there's people, what people are doing is going to change, and people have different skill sets, and there's a different way of looking at it. So a lot of people look at it like, okay, you can't do this anymore. They look at it like, again, here's a pawn. You're not doing what I need. I'm going to bring in somebody again. And mine, because I always like to teach, because I like that, I was like, okay, how do we grow? Forget the weaknesses. What are your strengths? How do I play more to your strengths? I was really big in trying to get people into fitting in where they can do their best, right? And sometimes you have to tell them, no, you can't do this, but you could do this. It's your paradigm of how you treat human beings. If you have the strength here, I'm going to put you where you can be your strongest, so it's a win-win.
You're an amazing success story of entrepreneurship, but also taking a small company, growing it, continuing to grow it. We have thousands of companies here in the region that have the potential to do that. And as we look at smart technologies and things like this, do you think that we can win using those technologies and growing our businesses? Do you think that we can win to, lead the world in smart manufacturing?
When we talk about Northeast Ohio, I think the more we can be focused and come together on learning deeply into fewer subjects instead of lots of subjects, we're going to be better off. I think it's more making your choice, going down that road. I mean, in this case, it's a big choice for a longer term thing, but you got to take that risk, right? You got to take the risk and say, okay, here's where we're headed. I mean, you can always change, but you got to put the effort and the money and the resources and the talent into here. And then, because if you're doing that, when people know that, people that are into it will be here.